Hello, Western Civ 105. Welcome to week one, and happy Father's Day. I'm actually going to be meeting up with my daughter in a few hours for Father's Day get together. I have not seen my daughter since the start of the pandemic. She lives in St. John's, and I live here in Portland, and we just did the shelter-in-place thing and got busy, and anyhow, I'm looking forward to seeing her. Now, I know, so this is what's tricky. We're having the beginning of the start of the summer session, at the start of a work week, and there's a holiday. So some of you, if you are doing any kind of Father's Day activities, you're going to be busy with that today, and I understand. What I do want to encourage all of you to do, though, is to get on top of this work as soon as possible, okay? So later on, after my daughter and I are probably just going to spend a few hours together before we get back. We both end up having things we have to do today. I also have two jobs. But I will try to answer any emails or questions if I get any today by this evening. I work a full day at my other job tomorrow, and then I have off all Tuesday. So any kind of things that you're just not sure about or whatever, we'll make sure we get this all clarified for you, by Tuesday evening. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so I used to have a computer with a Screen-O-Matic or something where I could record showing you, walking you through how to look through this class. And I have a Linux here, and this, I spent so many hours trying to get a program put onto this laptop so I could do that, and it's not working. It's annoying. So I'm gonna talk you through it instead of walking through it. So sorry about that. So look, each week you're not going to see an indicator that your class has an assignment due. The information is going to be there in the module itself. And so you're always going to have work due on a Thursday or a Sunday. Sometimes it'll be for all due on a Sunday. And it's going to be very consistent like that. And you can look at the week's work objectives link at the top of each module for each week. Or you can click on an assignment, and it'll say when it's due. And so I want you to deal with that. By the way, I'm going to move my laptop into my room because my roommates are coming. And it's going to get distracting. So, okay. So we'll just move right in here. Sorry about that. Last year, when I was traveling, I came back from Hong Kong September 5th in the middle of the demonstrations, and I was lucky to have some friends that own this home, and I was able to rent this. And I originally was gonna try to go do some more world traveling, but this pandemic thing has kind of put a little glitch in my plans. So I think all of you understand that in some way this whole thing is affecting us quite horribly. Anyhow, so going back to this week, so you'll see there's assignments 1, 2, and 3, and then I have video notes, and you have to take notes on all the videos. And I have 1 through 8. It's a lot of videos. 1 through 8, then there's like 1 through 9, and then 1 and 2. And every time that you start with a 1, that represents the next week's work it would have been. So in a normal semester, you would just do 1 section, but we're doing on average 3 chapters a week, 3 weeks and 1. So that's a lot, and that's just something that we've talked about. You should know. Remind yourself, this is a summer cram course. You should expect extra work, okay? And so that's what I'm looking for now. What I want to see with the notes and the papers, they should all basically reflect that you have watched the videos, and that's what I want to see in your discussions, the notes, and the paper. You don't need to use big vocabulary. You don't need to make some brilliant statements. If you do that, and I'm more than happy to see an overly exceptional paper. But ultimately, I'm looking for content demonstrating that you have addressed what I've asked and show me that you've actually watched everything and you've learned and read the book chapters. So that's what I'm looking for. Sometimes I get students, they try to give me a big, well put together paper that's full of fluff. I'm more impressed with seeing content indicating that information is in your head about what we went over, as opposed to a kind of, well, to be blunt, fake paper where you're going on and on and on about something and you're never really like pinning down that you actually learn anything. Okay, so that's not, I don't want that. And other than that, that's why I say like I don't grade that hard. I'm looking for content, so it's not research paper. If you add a poem or a little quote, that's fine, but the papers need to be really dominated by the information we went over. So I gave examples of video notes and the papers and previous announcements. So that's the other thing I want to mention. If this is the first time you're watching any of my announcements, you need to go back from the beginning and look at all of my announcements. This is important, okay? And I believe that that's really mainly what I needed to say about expectations of the work week. And also I'll just mention this, that when appropriate, if I find information or videos that deal with some of the challenges that we're having now in current political, the crisis of everything, I will do some posts on it. But I will make sure that I do them in a way that is not that regardless of what you think about things, you'll find it informative in a way to helpful to maybe navigate through what's going on, as opposed to having a point of view shoved down your throat. I mean, look, Americans can't agree about anything. I mean, right now, I know people who won't even be friends with people that want to wear a mask or don't want to wear a mask. So there's a lot going on, and people are really just, there's no middle ground. And I think it's important to address some of this, at least that this exists, because we're talking about Western civilization. We're a byproduct of it. And there is a crisis in Western civilization, which I talk about more at the end. I will actually address, by the time we get to the end of this class, I will be talking about some of the historical factors and reasons why that Western civilization is going through some serious turmoil. Which I'll just say also, is the statues coming down. First of all, societies have always tore down statues. But when that happens, we're talking about a time where it means something, right? So the colonists tore down the statues to King George. When the Soviet Union fell, when the communists rose to power, they tore down the statues that were existing before. When the Soviet Union fell, they tore down statues. But a lot of the statues that are now being pulled down in London and Belgium and the United States, we'll kind of go over the history of some of those characters and why they create so much controversy within the countries that they exist. So instead of me telling you if a statue should be removed or not, I will at least do a better job than our media of explaining the context and look at various ways in which people think of the importance of those statues. Why did they actually come up in the first place? What are they supposed to symbolize? And why is it that certain people feel the need to make them come down, even in an illegal kind of vandalistic way? But, again, I just want to say, we should not forget. I mean, I grew up under a very traditional biblical background where I read about King Josiah, and he was a popular king for destroying shrines of what was viewed to be false religion. And so it's always kind of interesting to me to look at how societies go through these kind of moments of tension and clashes, and the way that different symbols and institutions, like what they represent and how people are going to react to them. So it's tricky. But again, what I'm hoping as we get into the meat of this class, and we're getting to the end, to the more modern times of Western civilization, that you'll just start seeing, wow, this is what's going on. What, like, oh, I didn't know, right? Okay, we're going to try to cover all of that. And so I look forward to going through that with you. And again, what I want to encourage is I want all the students in the discussions to be very respectful to each other. But I'm hoping that we always find the happy ground between free speech and respectability. So I'm a person who believes in free speech, but in a classroom, there's also decorum. Okay, there's a thing called manners, and we're in a classroom environment where it's not about just the Constitution. It's about a classroom making all students feel inclusive in terms of having a safe space to discuss their opinions. And if you have, maybe if you're nervous about what you want to say, feel free to write to me, because this is what I feel like as an instructor. Between my students and myself, if you're going to write to me, we can have an engaged discussion even more fully, because it's not about worrying about what the classroom thinks or feels. And I like to make sure that I'm utilizing my knowledge to help tackle something that people think. I mean, look, I feel like this. We all grow up in very different circumstances, and our circumstances shape the way we view the world and what we're exposed to. And I will just tell you this, that I have evolved in many ways. I've changed my mind and views about many things, and I've went through many different realms. And after traveling last year, it was just apparent to me the limited knowledge in which I really had about the ways in which people can exist in the world, and looked at the different kind of troubles that other societies had and benefits versus what we're dealing with here in the United States. So in any case, I hope you all are having a good start to your week, and I look forward to being with you again. We'll be in touch.